Hi, this is Chris from my3dbase, and today I would like to show you the NG-5. So let's have some fun. Now today I wanted to show you the NG-5, which is obviously the fifth blaster, dart blaster we're putting into production here at my3dbase. I'll talk about the basic design, what the thinking is behind the NG-5, what the design drivers are, what the performance is, and the main features of the blaster. Now, maybe let's take a step back and look at our previous designs. You might all be familiar with the NG-2. Now, the NG-2 is not a mag and handle design. It rather has the mag up front. And as such, this comes with a few advantages and a few disadvantages. Now, this is one of the advantages is accuracy. I mean, if you have your mag at a straight line feeding directly horizontally into your flywheels, this has a profound influence on accuracy of the blaster. One of the disadvantages is that you have the mag sticking out in the front here. Now, one way to overcome this is to design dedicated holsters, so you can holster the blaster as is, or in case of the NG-4, there is a spacer which allows you to use it with a mag holster. Now, the NG-2 Goblin uses 180 motors. These are the motors we've used so far. They're quite powerful. They run up to 40,000 RPM, but in order to achieve desired performance, you need quite large flywheels. I believe these are around, have a diameter of around 30 millimeters at the moment. Now, this will result in quite a bulky front. Now, I personally like this. It's a design driven by function, but I understand that some people do not like the bulky look of the front section here of the blaster. You find this in a bunch of other designs too. You could have a vertical arrangement of flywheels as well to sort of mitigate this a little bit, but then you would have to accommodate the length of the motors. Now, another way to overcome this is obviously to shrink your flywheels. Now, again, this will have an influence on performance or on FPS, but I did so for the NG-4. Now, the NG-4 has flywheels measuring about 20 millimeters in diameter, and they disappear within the body of the NG-4. The overall NG-4 is slightly wider, but you have no protruding flywheels anymore, and this results in the profile you see in the NG-4. Now, one way to overcome the issue of smaller flywheels or to boost FPS performance is to use a faster motor, and this is something I think we released this year. We developed a new motor with a supplier, which we call RAIDEN. This is a 130 motor. It's revving at max 75,000 RPM. It's good for 2S, 3S, so very, very fast. Features neodymium magnets and both ball bearing at the front and at the back. So very powerful motor, very high RPM, and this actually enables us to use smaller flywheels. So what that means in terms of NG-2 Goblin, you will see an updated version coming up soon with slightly smaller flywheels and thus a reduced overall profile. But also this enables us to use even smaller flywheels, and this was one of the design drivers in the NG-5. Now, the NG-5 is not, the width of the blaster is not determined by the size of the flywheels anymore. Actually, the flywheels are smaller than the 130 motors. So this enables us to use to design a very slim profile on the blaster. I think it currently has something like 38 millimeters. The main body has a width of 38 millimeters. Only the battery compartment is somewhat wider at the front. So this motor, the 130 RAIDEN, is really aimed at small, compact blasters. You could also use it for larger blasters, but this is really the benefit, where the benefit comes in. And this enables you to do some really cool stuff in terms of compactness and size. So as I also mentioned, this is now mag and handle. So compared to the NG2, NG4, and the derivatives of the NG2, this is purely mag and handle, and this was one of the major challenges. Now, in order to have some decent ergonomics, it is highly advantageous to angle your mag well, and this is where the trouble starts basically for the NG-5, and this is also why I had to go through 19 iterations and print 19 different prototypes in order to achieve the desired accuracy and performance. So let's dive into some of the features of the NG-5. So it took quite a while to come up with an ergonomic handle. Now the width, or basically the cross-section of the handle, is now determined by the size of your Talon mag, or in this case the Talon mag. In the NG4, NG2, I was free to design the handle the way I wanted to. Here I'm basically restricted to the cross-section. However, I try to make it still as slim as possible. I've seen a bunch of different mag and handles where it appears that the handle comes out rather big. Now my hands are not too big, but it still feels quite comfortable because there's a minimum amount of parameters around the used for the mag, for the thickness of the mag well or the handle. It is still strong. But I believe the thickness is down to 3 parameters, so 1.2 millimeters. And maybe you'll also be able to make out that there's a texture on the grip. So it still feels quite comfortable. Obviously being a bit bigger than if you compare it to a, let's say, sorry for that, NG4, but still quite comfortable. Now, another feature we have is the mag release. The mag release here, well, there are 3 ways to remove your mag. Either you just yank it out. Now it has a very secure fit. It will not fall out if you start running, but sometimes it's just very quick and easy to just, yank it out and push it back in. It also has an ambidextrous mag release on each side, so if you trigger that, the mag will simply gravity drop out. And as sort of a heritage, because I had this from this design feature from the start, there's also a mag release in the back here. So I kept that, might come in handy sometime. Now the blaster is open from the top. I was thinking of closing it. I actually had it closed in the beginning, or I was thinking of putting in a lid here, but it's fully accessible from the top. So the whole feeding system, the pusher, it's all accessible from the top. If there is a potential jam or something, it's very easy to access the blaster from the top. One disadvantage might be that you get in some dirt or foreign objects, but I think if you have your mag in here, that's quite that's a very low risk. And there are no additional parts to open or to remove. You simply directly access the blaster from the top. Another driver in the design of the blaster was I wanted no external screws on the blaster. Now there are just a few down here to fix the rail or the sight at the top, but apart from that there are no external screw heads obscuring the design of the blaster. It's just a choice I made early on, very similar to the NG4 as well, where you see no or very little screws on the outside surface of the blaster. Now, for the battery, there's a battery compartment up front here. Let's quickly open it. It opens like this. I forgot to mention, you unthread the nozzle and the lid comes down like this, and you have direct access to your battery compartment. Now, what I use usually are 800 milliamp hour 2S battery or a 1000 milliamp hour 3S battery, and they fit quite comfortable in the blaster. Now, as I mentioned, every NG-5 now has 2 of those RAIDEN motors. They both tolerate the 2S and 3S setup. Now, in terms of performance, the NG-5 reaches about 100 FPS average, maybe slightly higher, and accuracy now is very good. This is one of the trouble I have, like challenges I had in the beginning to get accuracy right, because the dart does not enter the flywheels at a 0-degree angle or horizontally. It is slightly angled, and that greatly determines accuracy, at least in our experience when it comes to flywheelers. So this took me quite a while to design a system, or to come up with a system that delivers the accuracy you would expect from such a blaster. Right. Now, talking about materials, this thing is mostly a PLA. We only use high quality PLA from a company called BASF, Ultra Fuse they're called, and this material comes in a bunch of different colors and variations. The cage of the NG-5 is printed in ABS, so everything apart from the cage is PLA. The cage itself is ABS. The reason for this is, and we do this in all our designs and blasters, is the potential heat from the motors. Now, the waste heat might be a problem if the cage would be printed in PLA, but as you might know, the TG or serviceable temperature of ABS is significantly higher if compared to PLA. And you'll find a color picker on our website, so you can choose. You can actually look at a 3D model of this blaster, and you can choose your color preferences. Now, I would expect some discussions regarding the looks of the blaster, because it looks kind of like a real firearm, but that is actually driven by the fact that, okay, this is mag and handle. It has quite a slim profile. And I like to keep my things, or my blasters like functional. The overall design is usually driven by function. This is the way, or this is the reason why it looks the way it looks. Now, you can sort of mitigate that risk somewhat by picking appropriate colors. I would not recommend printing something like this in black or any darker gray colors, only just to sort of mitigate that risk somewhat. Now, I've also designed 2 accessories for the NG-5. Now, first off, if you have a look at the standard Talon, it will obviously stick out the bottom here, like 8 or 9 centimeters. And that's the reason why I did a dedicated NG-5 mag, which sits flush with the blaster. If I remember correctly, it holds something like, I don't know, 12 or 13 rounds. I would have to look that up, but it sits flush with the blaster. There's nothing sticking out anymore, and the design is based on our baby Talons. Right. Another thing is a dedicated holster. Now, there's a belt clip here, and there's also a latch here that secures the blaster. So if you put it in your holster, it will not fall out unless you release the latch, and then you're able to pull it out. So this will not go anywhere. You will not lose it when running around. It sits very securely in the holster. Right. Yeah. Now that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have questions, you can ask them below or contact us on social media. Great. Thanks for watching, and greetings from Munich. Bye. Now, if we have a look at some of the older prototypes. Okay, let's have a look at